Stop answering questions. Point blank. Stop answering questions. Hey, you, how do I do this? Oh, that's a great question. Thanks so much for asking it. What are your thoughts? Where are you in the process? What's next in the process? How do we do this? Oh, do you remember last week when we went over this exact same thing? What did we talk about last week? Asking those thought-provoking questions.
Hello, welcome to Outer Spaces, a podcast dedicated to empowering landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living professionals. I'm Joshua Gillow. My mission through this show is to create a powerful resource for you, someone who is striving to grow their company well past the $1 million line, but might not have all the tools and processes to do so. Here in Outer Spaces, we are passionate about breaking the chains of small mindsets and helping contractors just like you take control of their businesses and their lives. With nearly 3 decades of experience designing, selling, and building six-figure outdoor living spaces, I've made all the mistakes. Starting with $0 in my pocket, and through the grace of God and a ton of hard work, I now own multiple businesses that afford me the time with my family and the lifestyle I've always dreamed of. So join me as I share what I've learned along my journey, strategies, and other contractor success stories right here on the Outer Spaces podcast. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, and welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow. This week, Scott Lesak and I are going to unpack the top 3 strategies to build and keep a team that cares. You know, one of the most important things in business is creating teams and building teams. That's what allows you as the owner to be able to be more focused on your customers and more focused on the business in general. This week, Scott and I are going to unpack the different things that we've learned, different tools and strategies we've learned over our career that really help empower a team that'll help grow your business. So guys, keep on listening. Hey, Scott, welcome back to the show. Today, I want to pick your brain on the top 3 strategies to build and keep a team that cares. I know you've built teams. I've built teams. I want to share with the audience what it takes to build and keep a team and not just have people that show up like robots and don't really care, but ones that actually jump in and roll up their sleeves and they want to help support the mission and grow the business so everyone can thrive. So Scott, welcome back.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me again, Josh. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I know you said that you were just in a process of this exact topic for one of the speeches you're going to be doing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have, I'm co-running, I should say. There's 4 of us running an entire day workshop at the SIMA Snow and Ice Symposium in Pittsburgh on June 25th. It's going to be the day. It's on the Tuesday before the show. And we're going into recruiting, retention, company culture. All of it's tied together. It all comes down to that company culture in the end. I mean, your recruitment strategy, your retention strategy, your HR strategies, all comes down to the culture that you have and what you're doing for your people and with your people and working together. They don't work for you. They work with you. And having those simple understandings are huge. It's going to make the difference. If you're having today, 2 years ago, if you're having trouble getting labor, we were definitely in a weird season. If you're still having trouble getting labor today, we need to talk deeper on this topic because you gotta be providing the experience, and that's what it is. It's not a job; it's an experience that people want to come to, and it's a culture of attraction at that point.
You're right, and the same strategies that companies that attracted our parents to them and our grandparents to them with the idea of getting a pension after working so many years and just show up and you're a cog in the machine and you didn't really matter that much. That's changed. Everyone now wants to know that they have value, that they're adding value. And there's one thing that drives me crazy. It's when companies want to hire employees instead of team members, right? I know it's 2 different words, but the difference is, for me at least, it's when you say, yeah, I got 25 employees or I've got all these employees. It basically sounds like you own them or like there's something submissive to you as the owner. And that's not that kind of communication, that kind of, speech to your clients, or not even your clients, but even to your potential team members, it's not going to be good because employees, they don't want to feel like they're less than. They want to feel like they're part of, to your point, right? So team members, teammates, that's the shift that the world's going into now. And if you're not grabbing that because you're old school or you think that you are better than your employees, I've got a simple question for you, listeners. So if I had to have you categorize which is most important when it comes to body parts, is it your brain? Is it your heart? Is it your liver? Which one is most important? Think about it.
Man,
Could you
good
survive
question.
with one of those missing without some kind of, device at the hospital? My point is, can you survive with one of those missing? The answer is no. You need your brain, you need your heart, you need your liver, your pancreas, you need all those pieces. So what makes one organ or one part, one role in the company more important than every other one? Because without all of them, it doesn't work, does it? You need your brain, your heart, your pancreas, and all the other parts of your body in order for it to function. So we need to think of our businesses the same way as the human body that way, not be like, oh, I own the company, therefore I can be the one dictating, cracking the whip, and making sure my employees show up every day like you're some kind of king and you've got a bunch of peasants working for you. That's a mindset that's going to lead you to a lot of people quitting and leaving because of that. They want to be part of something bigger. They want to be part of a business that helps them reach their own goals faster. They want that business to be the vehicle that gets them to their dreams quicker. So, Scott, I've been talking a lot. Tell me about your thoughts there.
Oh man, there's a lot to dive into on this. I love that you brought up what worked yesterday is not working today. That's not what people are looking for. It's not the pension. It's not monetary. There's a certain level of monetary that we have to make sure we have within our cultures, and that's a livable wage. But if you're paying a livable wage and you give somebody a $2 an hour raise or a $10,000 a year raise on their salary, whatever the payment structure is, they're still going to be miserable in their position. If that's not where they want to be, they're still going to be miserable in your culture if your culture isn't providing that. There's so much more to it. We have to provide, I said it earlier, but we have to provide these experiences. So what does that look like? We need to design ways that people can grow within the company and have it plain as day so everybody understands that. I have to do X, Y, and Z to get to the next level. It's on me. I have some ownership. Another big piece is that ownership, giving your employees ownership about what they're doing. And the easiest way to start doing that is stop answering questions. Point blank. Stop answering questions. Hey, you, how do I do this? Oh, that's a great question. Thanks so much for asking it. What are your thoughts? Where are you in the process? What's next in the process? How do we do this? Oh, do you remember last week when we went over this exact same thing? What did we talk about last week? Asking those thought-provoking questions.
Yep.
And that's hard to do, especially when you know something, and especially when it's a minute little thing like, oh man, we just got to keep moving. Let me give you the answer. It's a hard thing to do, but it is imperative because you stimulate their mind. Their brain starts working. They might actually bring ideas up that you never thought of. And that's what helps grow everything. And when that happens, when that magical part happens, that you stimulate their brain enough to bring an idea that hasn't been on the table yet, listen to that idea. Entertain that idea. Try that idea. Give them credit when the idea succeeds. Don't reprimand them when the idea fails. Have a conversation around, man, what can we do better next time? That really didn't work. I thought it was an awesome idea. That really was a good idea, but in execution, it actually didn't work. What can we do differently? How can we change this? Because chances are that idea is 90% of the way there, and 10% of that idea is why it failed. It's not the entire thing. So what can you get out again? And start the questioning over again. And doing that with every single one of your employees creates a lateral org chart. We all look at the org charts, and from a process diagram, it does have to be in a tree so you can tell who's reporting to who. That's it. Don't ever look at me being higher than you on the org chart, you being lower than me on the org chart. It's lateral. We all have the same job, like you just said about our organs. Every single person on the team, from the guy who started this morning all the way up to the CEO who's been there for 20 years and built the company to where it is, have equally as important jobs. If not, that guy who started this morning might even have a little bit more of an important job than the CEO because he's the face. He's the person out there. He's doing certain things. She's going out to see the clients face to face or, whatever. You can put this in. I don't want to be industry specific with this conversation, but we're lateral. My job functions are this. Your job functions are that. As long as those are getting done at the end of the day, we're each pulling our weight to the exact same level in the company.
Exactly right. And, just like I'd mentioned with the brain, the heart, and the liver, is that they're equally as important, but they do different things, right? They have different functions, and we have to respect the different functions, different roles that they play in our body, different roles that your different team members will play within your organization, but not having a I'm better than you mentality, an ego-driven mentality, because you're just going to push people out. Nobody wants to be part of that anymore. It is so old to be thinking that way, because ultimately what we are, like, let's just go right to the leader side of things, right? Because most people come to an organization because they say, you know what, I like where that organization's going. I like what they stand for. I like who they are, right? So with that being the case, the leader's role is to create that vision, to set a vision. Now, when I say about setting vision and talk about systems and processes, all this stuff all the time, here's one of the secrets I learned, Scott. I want to know if you learned this as well. If I dictated a system or a vision and said, here's where we're going, this is the only way we can get there, it has to be the way that I have it set up to be. Now here, follow the steps that I've set up for you, and now this is how we're going to get there. What's the likelihood of those teammates, or in this case, more the employees, right? Those employees lining up and saying, yes, sir, we'll do whatever you want us to do. Just tell us how to show up, how to breathe, and how to eat. Right? It's not going to work. We don't run like this. Isn't military, right? This isn't how this works. So,
don't be fooled. That doesn't even happen every time in the military.
But my bigger point is that let's look at it a little bit different way. That's the old-fashioned way of doing it. Maybe that our fathers or grandfathers or their fathers all did. Like that was the world back then. It's different now. Imagine building a vision with your team, and your job as the leader is to make sure that the team then stays on focus. Accountability, making sure if they say they're going to have a certain thing done in a certain amount of time, that it's done. And to ask, I love what you said earlier about instead of people coming to you and you just give them answers, you're robbing them of the opportunity to grow. Our goal is to create leaders. Our goal isn't to pay paychecks. It's a big shift, isn't it? But then they're going to say, your listeners like, well, if they learn what I know, then they could just go out and start their own company. That's true. How amazing would that be? How amazing would that be if you could be part of their journey and you give them enough confidence and focus and clarity that they can go out and start something? Maybe you guys could collaborate. Maybe you could work together and you could make some money together. Imagine that. No, I have a better idea, Scott. Let's just make sure that they feel dumb and insignificant so they never try that, so that they can live in a very negative mindset their whole life because they wish they could but never had the opportunity to. What if we actually give them that opportunity? And if they want to, they can. And if they don't, that's cool too. Imagine a world where that you're not in fear of someone going out and working with your competitors because, they pay $1 more. Imagine a world like that.
It's incredible. I live in a world like that, man. That's what I've created. I love it.
As do I.
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is teaching them so they can, they're going to take my job. Great, take my job. That's what, if you can get to the point that you can do what I'm doing, you're probably going to do a better job than me. And, one of the biggest things I've learned about myself over time is my greatest strength is I don't complete jobs. I'm a seed planter. And that sounds like an oxymoron until I explain this, because I don't finish stuff. I'm a visionary. I have this vision. I want to get it done. I plant the seed. I get 40% of the way done, on to the next one, and nothing ever gets done. I need these teams. I rely on these teams. And part of this goes hand in hand with procrastination too. That's one of my greatest strengths that I have. I'm a procrastinator. I am a serial procrastinator. And looking at all these things, and again, bringing myself into this to put it to employees and team members. Sorry, I'm not going to use employees. I'm going to work on that one for you, Josh. My strength is procrastination. My strength is not finishing, because I have such good visionary views that when I get the next one, I'm ready to start on that. That's great. But what is missing is how do we get that done? What team gets the rest of that done? Procrastination. You give me 3 days to do a 5-hour task, it's going to take me 3 days to do a 5-hour task. You give me 3 hours to do a 5-hour task, it's going to be done in 2.5, better than it would have been done in 3 days. And that's the reality to the way my brain works. I fought that for years, decades. I fought that for so long until I realized I need to embrace that. Yeah. And that self-realization allowed me to have the realization to watch people working around. Everybody belongs on our bus. Everybody belongs on our team. If they're not thriving, if they're not succeeding, maybe they're in the wrong seat. Maybe we put them somewhere. So when it comes to promotion, when it comes to helping people grow, having that outlined path for growth, X, Y, and Z. You know, I'm in the landscape world when I'm talking about this, landscape and snow. So we're talking frontline guys that are hourly employees in the field. They have a map to grow from entry level to crew leader. And then after crew leader, they can go to a next crew, an enhancement crew or a build crew that pays a little bit more than the maintenance crews do. You can move into that. Then you can move into salary positions like a production manager, operations manager, sales, any of it, and continue to grow. But they know that roadmap. Nobody comes in and says, hey, I've been here for 2 years. Can I have a raise? I feel like I've earned it. It's like, well, have you earned it? Go look at the leaders ladder we have over here. What have you done? Have you passed your examinations? Have we made a mistake? Oh, no, you didn't do any of that? Cool. That's great. You want a raise? You want $2 an hour? That's great. Here's how you do it. Go through this process. We have this outline, and this tool is for you. And that leaders ladder, that brings people in. That helps them grow. And the other piece is I don't promote based on where I want to see somebody. I promote based on where that person wants to go. I will sit down, and the most I will do to promote to somewhere where I think somebody is just bring awareness. Hey, this position exists right now. I think you would be a good fit for it. What do you think? Well, let's talk about it. Let's dive into the details of it. And all of these pieces come from a well-structured, organized, and standardized company. So that's really a root of this. We're talking about employee retention, company culture, and everything. But this is a concept that is so baked into every single process, system, SOP that you have involved in your company. It is baked into the entire package. It's not a satellite. It's not its own little thing to make sure everything's good. It is baked into every single thing, right down to how you start your day, how you go home, how you get in and out of trucks, how you sell, all of it. It is baked into everything. That's the part to make sure you don't miss and make sure you have baked into everything. And that's where the vision and the mission come in. That's where, what is your mission statement? What are your core values? What is your vision? Your vision can change. Your mission should really stay the same. It can tweak a little bit, but all those pieces are integral to making this succeed.
Yeah, we're always growing constantly, right? As humans, as companies, everything, we're always growing and adapting to the world. And the one thing that I found to be so valuable is to not dictate how things are going to happen, the best path to get there, but ask questions like you did in the beginning. Like, hey, so you came to me with this question, how do we keep the trailer clean? How do you think we should keep it clean? Give me some ideas. What are some thoughts you have? If this were your trailer, how would you keep it clean? And like, hey, well, I'd probably assign somebody each day to being responsible for cleaning up, maybe at the end of the day, so that everything's packed and ready for the morning or ready to go. Cool. Who do you think would be best for that? Well, I could do that. I could make sure that's taken care of. Sweet. Can you come in 15 minutes earlier? I don't mind paying you. That'd be awesome. I'll do that every day. Perfect. Problem solved. Right? But if we dictate and say, no, I need to hire a guy that's going to do that, or you have to do this now, it changes it. Right? We haven't listened to really what they need or want, or their frustration, because we're so busy with everything else that we forget that we have to listen more. We have to just ask. And most of our teammates have incredible solutions bottled up in them, but they're never let out. So let's do that. Let's encourage that. We're here to keep them accountable to things that they've already said they want to be held accountable to, because people like that. They like to hit goals. And if they can say, hey, look, I really want to hit this sales goal by this date. All right, sounds good. What do you need from me to get there? Well, I just need some opportunities. Cool. So when I give you the opportunities, how are you improving your ability to communicate with the client so that we can bring more of them in? Well, I really haven't. It's really, I'm going to use my same old tactics and try to use them more often to new people. And if your closing rate's 30%, you're going to need more people. And what if you just maybe learn how to communicate better? Maybe learn a process, right? All right, so if we learn a process, we can learn it as a team. If we learn it as a team, we can implement as a team, and then we can work together as a team. You're not all by yourself anymore. All these things, business owners out there listening, ask your teams, all your teammates, ask them how they would solve these problems. All those answers aren't always supposed to come from you. Now, the final decision may come from you on how you work it out, or you work as a team and say, you know what, this is a much better idea than I even had. We'll go that way. And what you're doing is you're constantly empowering that team to make decisions. So many people ask me, Scott, how can you possibly run multiple companies and you aren't in them all the time? Like, how do decisions being made? Like, how do they know what to do, when to do it? How do they know, how to make a decision? And I said, because Since the beginning, they've been answering their own questions with their own solutions. So when it comes time to make a decision, they already trust themselves to make the decision. Now, if it's something that we've never experienced as a team together, we'll come together as a team. You know, my first question, how do you think we should solve this? Not, hey, I've got it, because I already have an answer. I already know what I would do, because that's what we are. We're wired we're hammers and we're looking for nails, right? So now it's like, all right, if that's the case, I need to shut my mouth and just ask better questions. So how would you guys solve this problem? And then 5 minutes later, after some deliberation and different views, you sit back and you're like, well, what do you guys think? Based on our values and our mission, like, which one works best that way? Well, I think that the option B is our best one. All right, let's do that. The empowerment they get from being heard and being part of that. Then when you're on vacation and stuff comes up, they're not calling you and being like, hey, this client's 2 weeks late on his payment. What are we supposed to do? Like, what do you think we should do? Right? And you flip it back to them. Let them solve your problem. And the crazy part is they're brilliant beyond what you know. Give them space to do it. Don't rob them of that opportunity.
Absolutely. The biggest thing to understand is we're all human beings. We're all capable of the same stuff. Us as owners, we were willing to take a bigger risk than our employees. That is the only difference. That is the only difference between us and people on our team. Sorry, I did it again.
You're catching yourself.
I'm catching myself. Right? I got it. Yep. I got to change that. Got to change that habit. Mm-hmm. But that's important. We are the same. And, in my experience, everything that I did so well and nobody could ever take my spot to, in my company, people are doing it way better than I ever did it. Every single thing. Every single thing. And it gets to the point now that I almost get in the way in certain times. So it's like, okay, I gotta back up a little bit. You guys are rocking and rolling. And we need to create the processes. We need to create the SOPs around that to ensure that our vision never gets lost. Our mission never gets lost. But those processes, those SOPs, view it like a human body. We're on this anatomy topic for this anyway, so view it like the human body here. Those processes are the skeleton. Let your people be the meat. Let your people be the organs that fill those bones and the skin and the muscles and everything. Let them put that flair on. The skeleton will keep everything rigid and keep it in place. The flexibility of allowing them to be the rest of that package empowers them and gives them ownership and keeps them around for years to come. And it's incredible. That's
the secret to it all. Because their systems, there's a much higher probability they're going to follow their systems than follow your dictated system. So once they've been the part of the genesis of those systems, they're going to be like, wow, that works really, really well because I was part of coming up with this. There's an ownership there. And, the leader's role in all of this is setting that vision with their team and then keeping people accountable to getting that vision done. And it says right in Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. It's not a nice to have. This is an essential to survival. We need to have a vision with our company. Where are we going? What are we doing? And then our job as owners is to make sure that comes true and to encourage and to empower our team to get us there. That's what we do. It's not about being better or worse or dictating or being that ego trip, that asshole boss that just constantly yells at people because it makes him feel good because he has no control anywhere else in his life. And now he just wants to beat his employees up. If that's you, then you need to take a real quick look at what you're doing and realize if you can't keep a team together, it's probably you better look in the mirror. I would say that would be the first step. Yes. Look in the mirror and say, what am I doing that's pushing people away? Not that, there's nobody good left and nobody wants to work anymore. Maybe you just have to approach this from a different area because as leaders, we must be working on bettering ourselves more than anybody else. This is where it gets scary, right? You said owners take on the biggest risk. They do, financial risk and all of that. That is true. But at the same time, we also have to be the ones that have enough courage to look our fears, because business is going to bring every single fear possible out, right? It's going to bring it out on a big stage too. So how good are we as leaders, as owners, to be able to face those fears, look them square in the eye, and conquer them by working on ourselves, becoming aware of ourselves, becoming aware of our own inadequacies, coming to aware of our strengths, of our gifts, all of those things, right? And what we really suck at and what we're really good at, and being blatantly honest with yourself, looking in the mirror and knowing that you're being truthful. and then saying, okay, if I see a spot where I'm missing, for instance, for me, I was a pleaser most of my life. I grew up that way. I was in that world where I just want to make everybody else happy, but at the cost of my own soul. I didn't have the courage in those days to say what was on my mind. I would know, because then there might be confrontation, and confrontation's scary. So I'd rather just tell everybody what they wanted to hear and just take a little bit out of myself each and every time I did that. And eventually leaving my bucket empty and me wanting to do something completely different than what I was doing, because I'm like, I just can't find any joy or fulfillment in this, because everyone seems to just keep taking from me. And it's because I realized during that time that being a people pleaser is not the way to go, especially if you're a business owner or heck, even a teammate. We don't want people pleasers. What we want is people being true and authentic and telling exactly what's on your mind, because you know what? The more raw that room is when you're talking, the more real it is, the more stuff gets done. The more happy everyone is, and I know that's short, but the more joy and fulfillment your team will have when they know exactly where everybody stands, and it's not this environment where everyone's just telling each other what they want to hear. Have you found that too, Scott?
Absolutely. The confrontation is actually not confrontation at all, because that's something I've struggled with, and I still do struggle with every now and then. It's like, oh man, this is going down. Like I'm going to say something like this, and this is going to happen, and you're going down that spiral. And I can promise you one thing: none of that stuff's going to come true that you're thinking about in that situation. Oh, this person's questioning the invoice. Oh, this person's asking why this happened. They're getting so mad at us. They're going to do all this. My experience has been every time you have those conversations, it's like, oh, great, thanks for the clarification. Oh, okay, that's how that works. Awesome. Oh, well, this is really confusing because of this. Oh, great, we need to fix something then. That's our fault, because that is confusing. I actually had one of those happen just this morning in one of the contracts that we have, and it was like, oh yeah, that's really confusing. We missed that. But having that shift opens the door to that confrontation being the most powerful thing, because stand your ground. If it's right, if it goes after your morals and your ethics, stand your ground, and you're proving and showing what you're made of and who you are. And that's more important than faking anything else.
100%. Now, Scott, I want to stop you here, because this is actually the topic of our next week's conversation. Right? So this is like a great segue. So listeners, if you want to know more about how to build a business that doesn't need you, this is part of it. How do you deal with confrontation? How do you manage all of that stuff? How do you manage clients who maybe aren't happy? I've got a process that I want to share with you next week that works every single time to give you the very best information so you can work through that potential confrontation with ease. So guys, if that's something that you find yourself in as business owners, and if you're not finding confrontation coming up, you're not pushing hard enough. That's all I got to say, right? Because it's going to be there. So now I can show you how or trick that I've learned in order to be able to help people get through that yourself and the other person on the other side. So Scott, thank you for coming on. How can people find you if they want to reach out and get more information from you?
I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, Scott with 2 T's, Lesak. Look me up, connect with me, follow me, send me a message. Love to chat. Or you can send me an email as well at scott@myinspireyou.com.
Well, thank you, Scott, for coming on. And listeners, I hope you got a lot from today. I learn every single time I get on a podcast with somebody and we were talking about stuff. I learn as much as you guys do, and I love it. That's why I keep doing it. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.